how do you make 7 an even number? Remove the S. Hey everyone, in this video we're going to be doing some intermediate stuff with pi, right? So hopefully you've watched the basics video already. We reviewed demos 1, 2, and 3 for pi. And in this video we're going to be looking at demos 5, 6, and 10, okay? So a little bit more intermediate stuff, some how to leverage multiple form fields, and a couple other cool things. So let's jump on in. Okay, so here we are back inside the Pi demo project that ships with Pi. And right now we're going to look at demo 5. And it's a pretty simple demo, right? Let's have a look. Essentially, it calculates the area of a room. You give the length and the width of the room, and it calculates and gives you the square meters of that room. Pretty simple. Let's see how to set that up. So here we have 2 sliders instead of just one. As you saw in the basic examples, we have length and width. And as you might expect inside pi, we're simply just going to multiply those together. And we do that by just specifying, curly brace length, close curly braces, times the width inside curly braces. Because remember, this is the syntax for getting the value of length and width. So pi is going to retrieve the values from the sliders and multiply them together. Now, in this example, I assigned it to a pi name of room area. And if we look at the suffix, there's one other thing that this stack does, and we haven't seen this before. This applies a suffix. So if we look inside the header for area, if you notice, I have area, and then I have my snippet, just like we saw in the basics video, but I don't have m squared at the end, like I'd had in previous examples in the basics video. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm actually utilizing the suffix part of pi. So what pi does, this is some HTML that does squares, so a superscript, right? So we're doing m squared, and pi is going to append that to the value. Now, if we have prefix, it'll basically prepend the data, right? This is great if you have dollar values, such as like a dollar symbol or a pound symbol or whatever currency symbol you want, right? So that's what prefix would be good for. But in this example, the answer, since we're multiplying length and width, the resulting is going to be square meters, right? So that's what we're going to be returning. So if we preview this again, you'll see that that's how we get the suffix here. The snippet is adding this after the value. So pi is doing that for us. So that's a nice alternative if you needed to, append data, but not have it inside the content somehow, right? So it's just another great option that pi provides. Now here's demo 6. Demo 6 is a little bit more involved. Here, basically the idea of demo 6 is that we're going to be calculating the number of cans that we need to paint a room. So there's a lot of data we need to gather here. So up at the top, we split this up in a few different sections. We need to find the area of the walls. So we have the length, the width, and the height of the walls. And basically we have a formula that calculates the area of all the walls that we need. Then the second set of data is our paint info. So we need to know coverage, how much paint can we use to cover, right? So is it 7.5 meters per liter, right? And then how many coats do we want? And then what is the size of a can of paint? And based on all this data, we can then provide the data of how many cans we need and how many cans we actually need. Now this is different because our calculations here said that we need 2.6 cans of paint. Well, you can't buy 0.6 cans of paint. So we actually round that number up so that we can have the actual cans that are required. Let's see how all of this magic is done. So here on the room info part, we have 3 sliders. We have room length, room width, and room height, just as you would expect. And then the pi here is for the wall area. And as you see, we have a little equation here that takes the room length times 2 plus the room width times 2 and multiplies all of that by the height of the room. And that gives us the area of the wall, okay? And you see we're using a little suffix trick here as well. to apply the actual unit to the end of the area metric. Very cool. So let's go down. We have the paint info. And here we have a slider for coverage, slider for coats, and a slider for can size. Now this is a little bit different. Instead of having one big huge pie, we decided to actually break this up logically. So here, the first pie stack, we're calculating the liters per coat. And we do that by taking the wall area divided by the coverage. So that gives us how many liters we need per coat. Then here we have the liters required. So we take the liters per coat times the number of coats that we want. At that point, we need to know the cans are required, right? So we take the liters that are required divided by the can size, which was how many liters are each can. And then we apply a 2 fix because we only want 3 decimal places in that results. And then further, we then want to take that and round it up, right? Because you can't buy a fraction of a can. So we're doing math.ceiling for cans required. And that is always going to round to the nearest whole number up. And then obviously here in the header, we have our snippets that we then apply and add to the headers so that Pi goes ahead and adds the data that we want inside of there. And we're done, right? So this is an interesting example because we took, instead of having one big equation, we split it up into smaller, simpler equations that referenced each other, right? So this pi references this one, this pi references this one, so on and so forth. Now, we can do this all in one. And we've done it here in demo 6b. Okay, so here's an example. If we were to take all of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pies, so it takes all the way up to the room info and all the paint info pies and consolidates it all into one big, huge equation here. Now, if you look at this, it's a little scarier, right? It's a little more complicated. There's a lot of syntax in there. It's doable to do it all on your own. And as we recommended in the basics video, if you're going to do something like this, definitely break out something like an app like VS Code or Sublime Text, a code editor. That'll give you some syntax highlighting and maybe let you know if you have some syntax errors going on, right? But it's very interesting to see how this can be done here as one big equation or broken up into several smaller equations that reference each other. Now, the last demo that we're going to check out in this video is demo 10. And this is interesting and allows us to build a pricing package for an event. Okay. So here we have a slider for the number of people that are going to be attending the event, your package, and then we have add-ons per person. So these add-ons are multiplied by the number of people. So if you have 5 people, this add-on is going to be charged 5 times. And then we have per event add-ons, which are simply one time. It doesn't matter how many people. They're just add-ons for an event total. So they're added on to the total of the event. Let's see how something like this is built. So at the top, we have a common slider that we've seen many times, and we have that assigned to an ID of people, okay, a name of people. Now here's a select box. This is something we haven't seen yet. So basically in this select box, we had 3 different packages. We had basic, standard, and super. Now, if you look at the values for these select boxes, we'll notice that the values are actually numbers. So when a user selects basic, in the backend, pi is going to retrieve 0. And when the user selects standard, pi is going to retrieve 0.45. And same thing for super, it's going to retrieve 0.75. So then we can use that number inside of our equations, in our formulas, inside pi. Same thing for checkboxes. Here we have the per person add-ons and the per event add-ons. And we'll notice that the value here is add-on 1, or the label, but the value is actually a number. So checkbox 1 for add-on 1 will be 50, add-on 2 is 125, add-on 3 is 250, and then we have the same thing going on here for events. And then here in our equation, we put it all together in one big equation where we take the number of people multiplied by the package and multiplied by the add-ons, and then we add on the event add-ons after that, right? So you see this is one kind of a big equation, but we're referencing many, many different fields and we're all compiling it under. And remember math, if you want to do like per add-on, we're using parentheses to, your order of operations, right? If you're going back to algebra, the order of operations is very important here because where those parentheses are inside your equation is going to differentiate whether or not you can have these per person add-ons versus the event add-ons, right? And of course, this is a complicated one, so you probably want to have this out inside of some sort of code editor so you can check your syntax and whatnot. And then we output the header. Now here, instead of doing the snippet, okay, we're actually using the class. So if we look at pi here, here's an example of our total. So we have total colon and then a pound symbol. So we've seen this work in a suffix area. This is using the prefix. Now the pi name here is total cost. So remember, we could use this snippet just by saying show snippet, and I could put this snippet anywhere I want. Now remember that another thing that we could do is if we look at this snippet, there is a class pi-total cost. We can add that to a header stack or anything else that we have. If you look at this foundation header, we can add a custom class pi-total cost. And what pi is going to do, it's going to replace that with the actual contents. So if you see here, it prefixed the value with total colon, then a pound symbol, and then it gets the actual value from the formula that we built. And as we add all of these things together, it's going to dynamically update that total for us. So I hope you learned a little bit more what you can do with pi on how you can use multiple fields, not just one, right? To leverage, to create more complex forms and formulas and stuff like that, right? Chances are this is probably going to be the stuff a lot of you really want to do, right? So taking multiple inputs, building a formula that takes all of those and does some sort of mathematical formula to make it all happen, right? Now, also remember, you can break things down. You don't need to have one big, huge pi formula, right? You can break it up into multiples if you need to, okay? They, again, you shouldn't worry. You can reference other pi's with no problem at all. Now, if you're going to do a complex formula, please remember that it definitely is recommended that if you're going to do it, don't type it all straight into RapidWeaver. It could be a little tough. So make sure that you're going to use some sort of code editor, right? And format it that way. So that way you can read everything. Maybe the type's a little bit bigger, and you can get a little bit of hints from JavaScript, fancy JavaScript stuff in these code editors that tell you about some potential syntax errors. So make sure that if you have any questions on your JavaScript or stuff like that, go ahead and post it on Weaverspace. Again, we cannot officially support and help you build your JavaScript. I'd love to be able to do that, but we give you the power to figure it all out. Now, there are some great resources. We have some FAQs on a lot of other math functions. I know we've seen rounding and ceiling and pi and the power to things. There's a lot more, right? A lot more. Obviously, JavaScript is a full-featured programming language that's been around for 20 years, probably more. And so there are some resources on our doc portal, the FAQ on the product page, that allow you to learn more about what you could do with JavaScript and other kind of cool little fancy things that you can do. So please post what you're doing. I'd love to see. I hope this pi is going to allow you to build things that you've always wanted to but never could before. So I hope you're enjoying pi, and we will talk to you later. Also, make sure to check out all of our other videos. We have some more advanced videos on pi, such as date functions, financial functions, doing things with like some CSS, right? Some really exciting stuff we could do with pi. So I can't wait to see what you're building, and we'll talk to you soon.